for the second lesson of our SILB, Stringed Instrument Lesson for the Blind installment. Now, Sasha, how are you doing, buddy?
Fine. If you playing your guitar, as the Mississippi man say, great.
Yeah.
But we talk about the guitar.
Yeah.
What's the answer of the quiz you did last time?
Funny you should ask. And just so you guys know, I asked the question in the last video. Who was it that was the first to dip his electric guitar pickup coils in wax? The answer is Eddie Van Halen.
Eddie.
Yes, Eddie Van Halen was the first to come up with the concept of potting pickups. Now, I'll explain a little bit more about pickups and how pickups work and things on a rudimentary level in the next lesson, which will be a celebration in memory of Van Halen. But just so you know, pickups before that had a lot of air in between the coils and magnets, and because of that, when the air started moving around as the amps got louder, it caused the pickups to go and as this it's what they call microphonic feedback, and it was very noticeable because if you hit the top, you could hear it through the entire 12 stacks of amplifiers, or whatever they were using in the arena. So you tried to avoid that, and so Eddie Van Halen came up with a solution that if he dipped his guitar pickup coils in candle wax, beeswax, that it would stop the air from getting in between the coils, the spaces in the coil and in the magnet. So on with the next lesson. We're going to take you back to the 1960s, but this is going to be our first three chords. And those three chords are A, D, and E. Now, something you need to know right off the bat, is that a guitar's fretting is based in half-step intervals. I'll play you just a little bit of what I mean on the D string. So if I start on D, that's my open note. I press down on a fret. That makes me E flat, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D, and that gives you a whole octave's worth of notes. An octave is a full scale, which goes, this is an 8-tone scale. That's why octave. It's an 8-tone scale consisting of that is a full octave. But if you have what we call half steps, that's called chromatic. And the frets are designed on a guitar to be in chromatic sequence. So if you and I play on the E string, get the same result. So the first chord, and your fingers of your left hand, we label the first as the index finger, the second as the middle finger, the third as the ring finger. And then occasionally you'll use your pinky for stuff like seventh chords like this, but that comes later. Right now we're going to stick with A chord, and A chord kind of looks like you got your hands in a claw. You have all three fingers, first, second, and third, on the D string, the fourth string, the third string, which is the G string, and the second string, which is the B string, all on the second fret. So I'll show you. First finger, fourth string, second fret. Second finger, third string, second fret. Third finger, second string, second fret. And it looks just like this. Now be sure that when you strum this chord, you have an A right here, just open. If you hit the E accidentally, it's okay in the beginning, but you want to not do that as you advance, because otherwise, as you start going and you start going, it gets really muddy. So you want to be able to focus on different strings as you go. So when you play an A chord, you want to start from the A string. And I'm using a pick, so in this case you want to start from the 5th string. So if I'm picking, it would go, I would start from the 5th on the A, the 4th on the D, and then the 6th on the E. And I'll learn those chords here in just a minute. But for right now, A is your 1st finger, 4th string, 2nd fret, 2nd finger, 3rd string, 2nd fret, 3rd finger, 2nd string, 2nd fret. And that sounds like this. That's your A chord. Now I'm going to show you the D chord. The D chord looks something like this. Your 1st string is on, or your 1st finger is on the 1st string, and that is on the 2nd fret. Your 2nd finger is on the 3rd string, on the 2nd fret, and then your 3rd finger is on the 2nd string, but on the 3rd fret. And you put that together, and then your open string, which is the 4th string, that's your D chord. Now I'll explain that again. You have your 1st finger is on the 1st string, 2nd fret. Then you have the 2nd finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and the 3rd finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. That is your D chord. Now we're going to move to the E chord. And the E chord looks something like this. We start with our 1st finger on the 3rd string, 1st fret. Then we do the 2nd finger. Now this can be debatable. You can move the 2nd and 3rd fingers around a bit. But we're going to stick with this shape because it's pretty comfortable for a lot of people to use. But so the 2nd finger on this E chord is going to be on your 5th string, 2nd fret. And then your 3rd finger is going to be on the 4th string, 2nd fret. I'll show you that again. And your open string here is your E, the 6th string. So, now that we got that, I'll show you one more time. 1st finger, 3rd string, 1st fret. 2nd finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. 3rd finger, 4th string, 2nd fret. There you go. When you put those together, now we're going to learn the song Wild Thing. And it's a very simple, easy tune. I'm going to start it nice and slow. And we're going to kind of go like this. This speed right here. We'll gradually pick it up to the speed, which is going to be about 120 beats a minute. But you'll find that out a little bit later. So here we go. You start like this. A, D, D, E, E, D, D, just a little bit more, so we're gonna gotta go, let's see about this pace right here. We're moving right along. It's gonna take a while, so I don't expect that when you get through this video, you'll have it right away. Repeat it several times until you can start switching back and forth. And let's try it at this speed. 1, 2, buckle my shoes here. A, D, 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 A, D, 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 A. 2, 3, 4. All right, that's pretty good. Once you got that far, you can then probably start speeding it up a little bit more. Let's try maybe here. This is close to speed, but not all the way there. So let's try it now. 1, 2, ready, go. A, D, 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 A, D, D, and the E, D, D, and the A. So, you got that? If you got that, then you can probably bring it up to full speed. You don't even have to remind yourself what the chords are. So we'll just go full bore right here. 1, 2, ready, and. Wild thing, you make my heart sing. You make everything groovy. Wild thing. And then when you do the middle part when it says wild thing, I think you move me. It's just you just take your fingers off. You do the A, fingers release, pluck that like that, just open and then A. That's how they did it on the record. So they just did this. So A, open, A. If you look at your fingers, it's 4 parts. There's bang, 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 bang. Just down, 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 down with the right hand, and then A, open, A. That's how you do that. And you do that for like 2 or 3 times. Well, I think you move me. But I want to know for sure. Come on and hold me tight. You move me. And then you start now. Somebody that knows how to play the recorder part, that'd be even cooler. All right, I'm going to have the panel discussion come in here and talk about their first experience learning this.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
So we kind of have the status quo beater guitar band right here.
Beater guitar band.
Yeah, I don't know if mine's a beater, but it's similar to what my beater was when I started. But I find one of the things that's easy to learn is start out with a nylon string guitar, because the steel string, or as they call them here in Europe, the Western, in the US we call them acoustic guitars, the steel can be really hard on your fingers to begin with.
Oh yeah.
And I found the nylon easier.
I must say, to interject here, yes, piano is very good to learn music theory, and a lot of things scale wise you start doing stuff like
because of the you know, like the
linearity with the keys.
The keys, and the guitar is a bit more complicated, but
has a visual.
Is a visual instrument, and every fret is a half step, so it's good for learning theory.
Yeah, it has a visual appeal. Not that it really matters to blind folks, but it has a visual appeal. So yeah, then we have. I'm going to explain.
You're talking about piano being visually easy to learn theory.
No, it's more. The piano is more like it's more. How you say?
It's laid out in a way that
it's more correct.
Kind of logically. The guitar is not logically.
And for some notes and some tones, you get three 3 possibilities to play on a guitar, and that's
Yeah,
with the piano it isn't the
Yeah,
case.
exactly. That's one of the things that's confusing for people. The same note can be located in several places on the
Yeah,
guitar.
and that's just a simple explanation in fretboard theory. You know, every string has 12 frets. You know, it has 12 frets make a complete chromatic octave.
Octave, yeah.
And so let's. I want to explain something a little bit while these gentlemen are here about what a beater is. A beater is not a guitar that you beat someone over the head with. Okay, it's not called a beater because you beat the snot out of somebody with it. But it's usually a very simple guitar. This one here is my wife's guitar. My wife was very kind to let me use this guitar on these videos. And it even has the beater look because the strings are not trimmed. So sometimes they get in the way. But
You might want to move that out of Willie's
Okay,
face there
okay.
for the video. Yeah.
Then I got even more that heavy metal pose, like
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, the So, but yes, and I'll explain what the is in the next video. So, now, so that's what a beater is. This is usually a simple guitar that you start out with.
Yeah, I borrowed a guitar for my first one. I wasn't sure if I would like it. So someone had one in their garage. It was a little, that's probably what made it difficult to tune, thinking about the last video. But it was great because I had it for about 2 or 3 weeks and I couldn't stop practicing because I enjoyed it so much. And then
Were the strings a mile high off the fretboard?
yeah, they are on a beater guitar. They're usually far from the fretboard. It makes so when you do get your first guitar, it's really, really nice. The nice thing about starting with a nylon too is that the strings are a little bit further apart than on a steel string acoustic or Western guitar, and it's a little bit easier to finger. They're softer, they're a little bit wider apart, and so it's a great place to start. So you build up your calluses, and you will build up calluses on your fingertips.
Yeah, and especially when you start doing, those of you who want to go into classical, probably later, you can do that, but that's not what this channel's about.
Yeah.
But if you want to do nylon string, and you want to specifically do nylon string, Willie Nelson used a nylon string, and as long as a few others, but that's what you started with when you play classical music, when you start doing stuff like... I just butchered that, but okay. The Beret in E minor by Bach and stuff like that, but forgive me, Bach. Don't roll in your grave now, buddy. Anyway.
Another okay. Are you want to talk or because I have to say
Go ahead.
Something about a beater guitar where the strings are far away from the fretboard. It's great to learn slide guitar, but it would be a different topic.
Yep.
Yeah, what you're talking about is the distance between
the fret
strings and the fretboard.
Yeah.
That's called. There's a term for that. It's called action.
Action.
High action is when it's far away. Low action is when they're
close.
close.
Yeah.
And Sasha is going off on a tangent here, talking about you want high action when you're playing slide guitar, which is for another day.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But with a beater with a high action, it can be good for playing slide guitar, but of course
but it's harder for a beginner. Just know, try it at first. If you get somebody to do what's called a setup and make the action a little bit closer to the neck, that's nice. Otherwise, it really makes you appreciate that first guitar, and maybe that's the subject of another one of these.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story, Bert. It was interesting that you mentioned a setup. I'll tell you a story, Bert. My first guitar, my father bought it for $75 in a pawn shop, and he had a coworker of his who worked at CNN Center in Atlanta, Georgia, and he did who also played guitar and helped my dad pick out his very first guitar. And interesting. The bridge started cracking, and everybody said, "Oh, you're tuning it too tight. You're not doing it right." So they gave me a pitch pipe, and I said, "Hey, yes, I'm doing it right. It's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this." And I had the right strings. The bridge was cracking. I was breaking strings like no tomorrow. Sure enough, the neck was warping back. It was bending backward, and of course, it caused they had to completely replace this saddle, this bridge saddle, which is usually a piece of plastic that holds the strings up off of this piece of wood that's on the top of the guitar. It's called the bridge, where the strings actually are put in place. And so, yes, it's very good if you're going to have a setup done, because a setup also fixes the neck, fixes the bridge, makes sure everything's nice and in line, so that you have a nice easy playing guitar. And this here, although it's beater, it still has a good sound. It has a very good low action. Some of the frets are a little whacked, but otherwise it's still pretty good.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, and that is maybe some of the listeners have bought a guitar recently or are about to, and a setup costs somewhere around $50 for an acoustic guitar. It's worth every penny.
Yeah.
Because they really get it in good. Tell them you're a beginner, and they'll set it up in a nice way for you to be able to play as easy as possible and not have to fight the guitar as you start out.
Because again, if the intonation isn't right, and if something sounds out of tune and wrong, people think they can't play. But with the setup, it's easier to play and easier to sound tonal right.
Tonally correct. Tonally correct.
Tonal correct.
Yes, and now that you mention that, intonation. We'll speak about it. What intonation is? Intonation is when all the notes going up the entire fretboard are perfectly in tune for within maybe a half a cent. Of course, because of the way guitars are instructed, as for any other stringed instrument, the way the neck moves, the way the woods are carved out for the neck, sometimes has a way of changing the intonation ever so slightly. But these days, guitars are built pretty, even on the mass-produced level, they can be pretty well set in tune with no problem. You don't have to do a whole lot of filing, sanding. You don't have to do so much work like you used to back in the old days when they were doing hide glue and everything else, everything by hand and old world style methods. Now, nowadays things are a lot easier, especially if you get into electric. Electric, you just screwdriver and take care of it. Of course, small turns, of course. But there you go. I think
you got a quiz question for us this week?
Yes, we do. I do have a question for us. Who was the first to put a Gibson pickup into a Fender guitar? In the next installment, where we will talk about this very subject, and we'll discuss a little bit about electric guitar and how it works and what that certain artist did to change the standards of guitar history as we know it. All right, that concludes the video for today. So remember, keep on playing on.
Yeah.